hey, I'm Chuck Olenek. I'm a reenactor. That's going to become important in a moment. Because what I did for 36 years was I used anything I learned in reenacting history to bring history to life for my students. And that would involve dressing the part and walking around all day in the garb or in armor and having people give me odd looks. But that was the hook to get them interested. And after doing that for 36 years, plus being involved in reenactment organizations, I have a house that's filled with garb and artifacts and all sorts of stuff. And I have a passion still for bringing the past to life, and I have a desire to preserve landmarks, and that's kind of important now because, especially in the year that I've been filming this, or the year that I plan on filming this, I've seen landmarks go away. So I'm on a mission. And what this is about is, the first phase of this mission is to visit every single mission, Oceanside, those are the spin-off missions, estancias, those are the ranchos that supported the missions, and presidios, those were the fortifications that defended the missions. And so far, I visited 3 Oceanside. I visited the Presidio in San Diego. I visited the mission in San Diego. And I took time to visit the old mission dam and to put it in its place historically and archaeologically. So now I am driving the either 41 or 45 miles, depending upon who you ask, up the Camino Real to mission San Luis Rey de Francia in Oceanside. And I hope you'll stick with me on this journey. So here we are, second church up along the Camino Real, mission San Luis Rey de Francia, started by Father Lassoen, 1798. It's the 18th mission in the chain of missions in Alta California, 18 out of 21. Although we can quibble and say there's actually 23 because there's 2 that were started by padres from the coast that are over by the Colorado River. This mission, in the first military district, was named for King Louis IX of France, who led crusades to the Holy Land in the 13th century. It was the 9th and last mission to be founded by Father President Lassoen and was run by Father Antonio Peyri. From a native account, as soon as the Mass was ended, the Padre marked out on the ground the lines for the mission buildings, and the men went to work making adobe. After a few days, the Indians began to lose their fear of the Cristianos, and it was not long before they were helping in all work to be done. The Padre paid them every day for what they did. Now, on the day the mission was founded, 54 Luiseño neophytes were baptized. Also, over the next month, about 8,000 adobe bricks were made, like the ones behind me, and the foundation was laid for the mission. This is also the 3rd chapel that's been built upon this site. This 3rd church, completed in 1815, was constructed probably for the very good reason that in 1812 there was a month-long series of earthquakes which severely damaged 7 of the missions, but it affected nearly all of them. This is the only surviving example of a mission church that's laid out in a cruciform pattern. Although the great stone church at Mission San Juan Capistrano, destroyed in those 1812 earthquakes, also was laid out in a similar pattern. Now there's also a cupola which is unique amongst California missions. It's an octagonal lantern formed with 144 panes of glass, and it tops the wooden dome that was built over the sanctuary in 1829. 4 bells hang in a 3-story domed bell tower. The mission was originally designed with only 1 bell tower, although there have been drawings of the chapel with 2 of them. So maybe this was part of an abandoned plan. Like many Spanish cemeteries, the cemetery at San Luis Rey was marked with a skull and crossbones. Like most of the other missions, San Luis Rey was built in a quadrangle, likely for defensive purposes. By 1826, the quadrangle measured 500 feet on each side. There was a long corridor with 32 Roman arches in front of the patio. A dozen of these Roman arches spanning the front of the convento have been restored, but you can see the remnants along the front. During the mission era, bullfights were held here. So below the main area of the mission, those are the soldiers' barracks. And this area over here, which contains the lavanderia and the kiln, that wasn't excavated until the 1950s and 1960s. The lavanderia, or open-air laundry, was located in a hollow to the south of the mission. It was reached by descending 46 fire-tiled steps, sort of like a Roman amphitheater. 2 springs provided water that spouted from the mouths of sculpted gargoyles into the lavanderia. It was a bathing area for the Luiseño, and here the women would gather once a week to soak their clothes with the crude soap and beat them with wooden paddles on the stone steps. The water also passed through a charcoal filtering system and was used to irrigate fields and gardens. The kiln was also located in this same sunken area. In 1798, a guard detachment was provided to protect the new mission and were ordered by Governor Borico to erect the necessary buildings without murmuring at sight or work and with implicit obedience to Padre Lasuen. An average of 16 soldiers lived there even after the Padres were ousted after secularization, but were unable to prevent looting and gradual stripping of the mission buildings during secularization. No Indian attacks took place during mission days, possibly because it was the most successful of all missions with several hundred converts living around it. Now, Mission San Luis Rey de Francia, the 18th of the 21 missions established in Alta California, was one of the most prosperous agriculturally. It also received help from its neighbors, Mission San Diego, Mission San Gabriel, other missions who ended up sending animals, and this got the herds going. Luiseño's words: as the alcaldes pass through the villages, each one cries out what the missionary has told them in his own language, and the whole village listens to him. Tomorrow we will start sowing seeds. In the morning they gather there. So here's a big reason why Mission San Luis Rey de Francia was called the King of the Missions. It had at its peak about 950,000 acres under its control, and there was also a reason to kind of give it the ability to have spin-off missions like the Estancia San Antonio de Paula, about 30 miles away, and the Estancia Las Flores, a few miles that away. Estancia at Paula, intended to become part of an inland chain of missions. The estancias at Las Flores and other places intended to raise crops. And remember, more food means more prosperity. When secularization hit, these lands were a rich prize. Discouraged, Father Pere resigned, went to Mexico, and ultimately to Spain, taking 2 Luiseño with him. Administrators took ownership of all land and livestock, either selling or gifting land grants, and leaving nothing to the Luiseños. The Mexican War lasted from 1846 until 1848. In December of 1846, Kit Carson and General Stephen Kearny and the Army of the West secured Mission San Luis Rey. By January of 1847, the Mormon Battalion showed up, and they basically took over guarding the area. Once the dragoons left, scavengers descended, stealing even the front doors and the altar. President Lincoln did return some mission lands to the church, but the mission remained abandoned for an additional 30 years. In 1892, a group of Franciscans from Zacatecas sought refuge in California and helped reestablish the mission, rededicating it in 1893. Fun fact about Mission San Luis Rey de Francia: it was a stand-in. It stood in for the Mission San Gabriel Archangel in the 1958 TV series Zorro, which I thought was entertaining. Another fun fact: while many of the missions have ghost stories associated with them, the one that is told about Mission San Luis Rey de Francia, you can find the origins of it. It was in the 3rd and 4th episodes of the Zorro series. So I got inside, I continued the pilgrimage, prayed for my family, filmed. Now it's on to the next site. Oh, we have 3 Estancias down. We have 1 Presidio down. We have the Mission Dam accomplished. And we have 2 missions done and in the books. And now to drive the 33 miles to Mission San Juan Capistrano, going up the Camino Real. I hope you stick with me.